I'll call this meeting of the Champaign-Urbana Cable and Telecommunications Commission to order. It's Wednesday, April 16th, a little bit after 4 p.m. Clerk, would you call the roll?
I'd be happy to. Chair Folk?
Present.
Commissioner Walker?
Present.
Commissioner Rosales?
Present.
Commissioner Cinder?
Present.
Commissioner Lukeman?
Present.
Commissioner Foster indicated that he would probably have to be late, but he will be coming. And Art Cymberski and John Quinn from the cable companies both indicated they would not be able to attend today. You have a quorum.
Excellent. Does anyone have any modifications to propose for the agenda?
I would move that we delay the amendment to the commission rules and regulations until Commissioner Foster has arrived. Assuming he arrives by 4:30.
So would that be moving it after new
reports?
business?
After reports.
After reports, but
Yes.
before new business?
Yeah.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good. Okay, so that will make that change. The minutes from last meeting, I actually did not have time to go through them yet. So did anyone else have any comments on them?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on. Committee reports. We don't have any subcommittees to report right
Yep.
now, I don't think.
Correspondence?
Oh,
Very nice.
right, sorry.
It's okay.
Yes. So we did have some correspondence this,
Well, we had 0 calls to the city of Urbana concerning Comcast since the last special meeting in January. We had 1 total call, and that was to get the phone number of Comcast regarding a billing question. And I also included an email from Commissioner Cinder pertaining to the rules and regs, which we'd probably want to deal with at that point in the meeting. And then Jeff has some other things from Champaign.
Champaign, for the quarter, we had 5 cable complaints. Copies of those and the resolutions are in your packets. The city of Champaign also received the annual reports from both Comcast and from AT&T U-verse, and both of those are included in your reports. They're also posted up on the city's website with the commission's documents for the public to review. To be honest, they're state reports. They're not really particular to Champaign as far as the numbers that are provided in here. Actually, thankfully, because they had Comcast report 672 complaints for last year, so I'm glad those weren't all mine. But and then U-verse also had theirs in here. They didn't total their complaints, but both of these reports, just for your information and the public's, would be statewide.
there's a section in the report on investment in the community that talks about the Internet Essential programs and several others that Comcast offers, the Leaders and Achievers Scholarship Program, Comcast Cares Day, and the Red Cross thing that they did. And during the last quarter, I ran across another interesting article about Internet Essentials that talks about the challenges in people getting access to that program. Just to recap, that's Comcast's low-cost Internet access program. And it says in here that over 30,000 Illinois families have been connected to the net through that program, which is at $9.95 a month. The challenge is that you cannot have been a Comcast subscriber for the last 90 days. So that's one of the things that's limited people's ability to access it. And for the next meeting, I'm going to ask Art to talk a little bit more about the future of that program, whether they're planning to continue it and do anything to alleviate some of those issues. I don't know of a similar program that AT&T has. Do you know? I think their lowest rate is about $15 a month, which is still pretty low. Did anyone have any other comments on the correspondence? Moving on again, back to committee reports, which I don't think we have any of those today. What about staff reports?
Sure. So over in Champaign for CGTV, we're actually quite excited. We're working on a project this summer to replace all of our equipment and move into the HD world. Everything from field cameras to our council chambers to our broadcast servers. All of our equipment is currently, except for most of the equipment, except for field gear, is currently 12 years old. So we've gotten our life out of that, and we have an RFP out on the street for vendors to propose projects for the city to consider to redo our control room and our council chambers and moving into to HD. So that's going to definitely take a lot of time, not just managing that project, but also just the conversion and starting redesigning graphics and how we do business and stuff. We've also invested in a new field camera, so we'll start shooting all of our content in HD. At this point, the disappointing thing is that if you're a Comcast subscriber, we've been told that you would still only see us in standard definition. We have petitioned and asked both AT&T Uverse and Comcast to give us an HD channel, the ability to share our content with our viewers. Both have declined. I can give some more specifics on that in the future, but we're not giving up. This project we hope to get another 10 years out of this equipment, and we certainly hope that during that time things will have changed. But at this point, Comcast has told us that there aren't any PEG channels in HD in the state of Illinois. As a matter of fact, in our research, we only found a small handful anywhere that are primarily in the Oregon and Washington state area, and those were in their franchise agreements. They were required. Our franchise agreement, which both cities signed just a few years ago, doesn't require HD channels. So perhaps either short-sighted that we didn't make that requirement, or wishing we had, but that probably would have been a pretty tough sell anyway, having sat through those negotiations myself. So I just wanted to share that. Our live stream will be HD, so for the rest of the world watching us on internet will be okay. But I wanted to share with you where we were at with that. Commissioner Lukeman and I had also discussed that UI7's strong interest in moving to HD, and we did share that with Comcast, but the response was the same. Of course, both cities are actually the owners of all 4 PEG channels, so we made that request, and at this point it doesn't look like it will be moving forward. But we are excited about our project that we're going to be working on replacing our equipment, and that'll be a nice, fun summer for us. We also were able to work on several productions that we're proud of over the last quarter since we met. The unofficial holiday, the drinking holiday on campus, was something that had local law enforcement and the university concerned. So the city of Champaign took the lead and produced 3 PSAs for a responsible drinking campaign, and we shared those with the other PEG channels, blasted it out on social media. Those seem to be pretty well received. We had one from the police standing of, hey, here's the law and how you can get in trouble. We had one from the U of I Dean's office saying, you know what, this can follow you in your academic career and get you out of school or otherwise. And then we had some stars from the U of I football team also just talking to their peers about, step up and do the right thing. So we thought those were pretty well done, and we were proud to be able to provide those to our community. And tomorrow night, Champaign is going to host the Star Awards, which is Service Together Achieves Results. It's our opportunity to thank our neighborhood leaders and otherwise neighborhoods And we're going to be out there filming that and get that on our channel as well so that we can put some legs under that and thank these people for everything they do for our community.
On your moving to HD equipment, do you intend to continue broadcasting in 4:3 aspect ratio or use 16:9?
We're definitely going to go 16 by 9.
Yeah.
And, all of our, at this point, the plan is that all of our equipment will be HD, and then we'll have this little device right before we send it to Comcast and Uverse where we'll dumb it down to a 4 by 3. But that'll be letterbox. So we'll maintain our aspect ratio, but we've got to make it standard definition and fill the screen for the normal viewer.
Do you recall what HD camera you guys picked up for field production?
Sure. We bought a JVC GY HM650.
Okay. I think I'm familiar with it.
In your conversations with Comcast, did you talk at all about the cost of options other than them giving you a channel for free, an HD channel for free?
No, we did not make any offers to purchase. We didn't offer to open up the franchise to negotiations. They had some compelling arguments, and I'd be happy to share that letter with you. But at this point, we were kind of convinced that maybe there aren't as many HD viewers out there, and we would be perhaps a little bit afraid of cutting off some of our viewers who maybe not have the right equipment in order to get that, and that'd probably be one of the worst things we could do. So we're going to keep an eye on it and try to see if we can bridge both. If Comcast would allow us to do something like that.
So, on existing cable, if a channel is in HD and you don't have an HD set, can you still see it? Is that what you're kind of referring to? If they let you do HD, but you weren't doing both?
That was the one of the statements that Comcast had stated. If CGTV switched to an HD only channel, then people without HD equipment would not be able to tune us in. And we may be speaking of some of the poorer or elderly who haven't made that investment in their equipment, and that's probably it's definitely an audience we don't want to lose. So it's something we have to carefully consider.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, the whole point of having it in the basic tier is that everyone would have access to it. It's a nuance I hadn't thought of.
Well, and I might be misconstruing what the things are, but from personal experience, because my wife and I we still have the basic cable box. When we were doing the cheapest plan, that little box, even though we technically should be getting HD, that little box doesn't give us HD channels. So it's like when the little box went in, we lost the HD version of ABC, NBC, even though they advertise that the basic tier also has those. You can't see them without the bigger box that has its own $5 a month or whatever rental fee or whatnot. The little guys don't do it.
Interesting. Okay, well, lots of really, really cool stuff going on over there. Look forward to the extra pixels. So how long do you expect the transition to take?
Again, we haven't even picked a vendor or done a contract, but we're thinking in August. Probably could be about a month for the gutting and rebuilding of the station. We won't go off the air during that time. We will have a temporary home. But yeah, by the fall, we should be up and going.
Well, when it's ready, maybe you can come and do a side-by-side or something of some old council meeting versus new council meeting.
Sure.
Jake?
I can make a report for Chris Foster. This just in. An email from him timed at 4:12. Hey guys, sorry for the late notice. During the production of the Parkland Challenge today, we had someone faint during one of our matches. We had to call public safety and make sure she was okay before we continued. Long story short, the delay set us back, and we will have to be recording past 4 p.m. today. I'm sorry I missed the meeting for the late notice. I knew I would probably be late, but the setback has made it impossible for me to make the meeting today. Chris Foster. We broke it here on UPTV. As far as Urbana Public Television goes, we have a new halftime production assistant. Her name is Julia Jones. She's been a fabulous addition to the staff, and she's taking over more and more production duties, as well as helping us deal with some backlog that we've had for a while. We've had some equipment challenges that we have recently overcome as regards our video toaster, and as regards our automation system and its capabilities. We seem to have resolved those issues with the automation this week, and so we can resume something I'm very happy that Commissioner Cinder has been able to provide us, which is hourly weather observations here from Urbana, Illinois, to our own citizens. And that will be great to have those back on the air. The middle of the night is usually a very, 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 very low audience time for media in general and television in particular. However, it's also prime time in Asia. And as a result, we have had one of our volunteers has begun to produce a program that is bilingual, partially in English and partially in the language of Malayalam, which I confess I did not know anything about until I did some reading on it. It's a language of southern India, and it's spoken by more than 33 million people in the world. So at 4:30 in the morning, when there is no one to speak of watching here, we now have a primetime audience in the Indian Ocean basin. So we're kind of excited about that. I believe that's probably a first for public access television. Finally, we entered 5 things in the Midwest Video Fest competition, which is a regional competition from our region of the Alliance for Community Media, of which Urbana Public Television is a member. We entered our website, urbanapublictelevision.org, and our Facebook page, and both of those received merit awards. We entered Ricardo Diaz's CU Immigration Forum TV, produced here at UPTV, and that won the award for Significant Community Program. Marie Polk and a team of volunteers, along with staff, produced the Champaign County Freedom Celebration, the 4th of July Parade program. That was entered and won the Achievement Award. And the last program we entered was Ray Morales' Chicago City Youth Performance spoken word piece, which was funded in part by the Urbana Public Arts Council, and that won the Excellence Award for Best in Show of the entire competition. So we want to particularly commend our production coordinator, Jason Liggett, for his responsibility for all of those things, as well as our community producers. Jason is going to be attending the regional conference in Wisconsin on April 25th and 26th. He is a presenter at that conference. He'll be doing a workshop with other attendees from around the Midwest, and will also be receiving the awards on behalf of UPTV and our producers. And we had understood that you had requested a video clips reel each quarter, so we have one which contains clips of the award-winning programs, should you wish it.
I'd be happy to see it.
Disembodied voice, can you roll the tape?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here with my beautiful mother. And so it's a little bit different to talk about Kwanzaa on the Queen's Roundtable, but you've covered a lot of different topics that weren't necessarily all completely based around the topic of Christianity and religion. So I appreciate you allowing this to take place here.
This has been a very unique process on this tree. Getting the community involved was a huge plus. It was our first televised tree commission meeting that we all got together to discuss what we were going to do with this tree, and I think it's really panned out well. The community understands what we're doing. They're involved. It's not a surprise. This is a very important tree to the community.
I would not have given Illinois a shot in that Iowa game, especially after the way they got destroyed against Michigan. Were you guys giving Illinois any chance in that game against Iowa?
Not really. I mean, it's hard to, especially with this season, with the team being so up and down. I, as a fan, was in and out and up and down with the team, and it was down and out for me after the Michigan game. It's hard to to see any bright spots after a 31-point loss.
If we didn't have recycling here on Earth, then eventually bottles and newspaper and a bunch of other stuff would start to pile up, and it would be hard to get around, and eventually there would just be so much pollution, the air would get bad, it would be hard to breathe, and the Earth would be very not in good shape.
Is recycling good for the environment? Do you recycle at home?
Don't worry about what the person on this right side of you is going to think, or what the person on the left side of you is going to think, or what the people in front of you or behind you are going to think. It doesn't matter. Just say it loudly with enthusiasm. And then I'm going to say Mai Buye, and you're going to say I Africa. And what that means is come back Africa. And it's a way of saying that we are all, despite the varied colors of our skins, we are all sons and daughters of Africa.
Let's move back to the garden. It's cool in the garden. God, he rules, yeah, in the garden. It's cool in the garden. There is food, yeah, in the garden. There are tools, yeah, in the garden.
Tim Duncan never looks like he plays hard.
Because he looks like he plays like I'm 50
You know what I'm saying?
He should wear some sweats with the shorts on the outside, because he looked like he's playing at the Y.
You never see Tim Duncan running the court, running the floor.
I don't think Tim Duncan's ever seen Tim Duncan.
I mean, he's playing now like Kareem used to do back in the day. You know, Kareem used to never go past half court.
Unless they be like, hey.
Yeah, you know.
Get down there so you shoot the sky.
Yeah, they down there passing the ball down. Here come Kareem.
Hey. Got a hot dog.
Yeah,
got a drink. Oh, I didn't think you guys needed me that time.
I'm gonna put on my new hat, baby. Gonna head down to the waterfront. Gonna put on my new hat, baby. Gonna sit down at the waterfront. You can watch the moon rise over the water. We can hold my hand like I was my father's daughter.
I don't know much about you. Are you a local?
No, I immigrated to Urbana.
Oh, there you go.
So I was born in New York City, and my parents moved to Seattle, so I grew up in Seattle.
Okay.
And then went to school in Massachusetts. Met my husband there, and we went to California for 2 years, and then we moved to Urbana. So I've been back and forth across the country. But Senator Durbin was talking to the mayors in Illinois, the Illinois Municipal League, about the immigration bill, and then this letter came up, so I was very happy to sign it, because I think this is a nation of immigrants, and all the people here, including the Native Americans, came from somewhere else.
Good morning and welcome to Freedom Celebration 2013. I'm Josh Laskowski from CVJ Broadcasting.
And my name is Marie Polk. It is the 64th annual Champaign County Freedom Celebration, and we are on location at the University of Illinois. It is absolutely beautiful today.
After all the rain we've had this summer.
I know.
It is so nice in Champaign County today, and gearing up for what's going to be a very exciting day.
Yes, what a wonderful way to start the summer. The 64th annual Champaign County Freedom Celebration.
In the city
innocence snatched from their hearts and replaced with anger and aggression from facing the dangers and oppression of inferior living conditions. They are soldiers equipped with the helmet of locked thoughts that have grown impenetrable from neglect and malnourishment. They carry an armor of thick skin and desensitized eyes from growing accustomed to seeing life die. They are holding all black 9mm semi-automatic souls that shoot nothing but hate. Our babies are ready for war, fighting for survival. And if they make it through the trenches of modern day poverty to see the day end, the reward is having the opportunity to do it again tomorrow. They deserve to feel sorrow, but the tear ducts have been so dry for so long that dust appears where moisture should, so the frowns have turned to scowls because it burns to feel.
All right.
Thank you. I should also, I don't remember if I told you folks, but that Let's Move garden video was shown in the White House. It was chosen as being one of Michelle Obama's a featured video for the Let's Move the program that she sponsors. So.
Okay. Our operators are not here, and we discussed their reports previously, so I suppose that's we can move on past operator reports. On to renewal of the Cable Commission website.
The CU, what is it? CUCableTV.com. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. CUCableTV.com was the URL that the Commission had purchased, and you had designed and launched a website, looks like about 5 years ago, I think. That URL the website kind of fell into disrepair, and as I recall, if you type that URL in, you would redirect to the Urbana website, right? And the URL recently came up for renewal. It's not very expensive. I think it was like $12 a year. Champaign went ahead and we renewed that for another 2 years, based on the fact that I've got, and I assume you have, boxes and boxes of bookmarks left with that URL on it. So we went ahead and made the investment to renew that for a little while longer. And if anybody wants any bookmarks, let me know.
We should maybe use that as a start a conversation about. So that happened just before I joined the commission, I believe. So it was the bookmarks were being given out when I first arrived. And so maybe I could ask Jeff for a recap on what the goals were. Were you on the commission at that time? Mm-hmm. So, or maybe Commissioner Foster can talk about what our goals were with that website and the bookmarks, and if we want to pick that banner up again.
Well, the goal was to kind of put all 4 PEG stations under one umbrella and have one central source to go to. And we had a program guide up, but technology has changed so fast. I'm not sure exactly what was serving the. But ideally, people would, if they wanted to file a cable complaint, they could go there. If they wanted to see what was on at 4:30 in the morning on UPTV, they could go there. There were links to other PEG channels, the government agencies, lots of information, contacts for Jeff and Jake or whoever it was, pre-Jake. So there was a lot of stuff on there, and the goal was to have people, if they thought of the PEG channels at all, to give them some kind of identity altogether. And then we designed a logo, which I thought was pretty cool, that ended up being on the bookmarks. And I guess we had, a lot of those at the library, and I've given out several hundred at various places. So it would be nice if there was something there, even if it was kind of that looked like our 4 channels, even if it redirected to Champaign and Urbana. And I think at one time, didn't somebody from Urbana do a redesign on it?
I think the original program guide that you're talking about became completely dysfunctional, and at that point it was decided just to redirect it to Urbana and the commission's page. So.
Yeah, ideally, that's what I thought would be the nicest feature, if you just had one grid there and you wanted to know anything going on with government or public access. You just have that page, which was easy to remember, and go there and you could see all 4 channels and page through. But evidently, whatever service we were using to upload the guide stuff fell apart or quit operating, or so maybe that's something to look into in the future. I think it'd be nice if we could advertise it and people knew about it and they would go check the guide. And I think at one time, I think it even had a search function if you wanted to see, dates or a Champaign council meeting. You could look and it would tell you when the old ones had been on or when they were coming up.
Our current site, it does direct people to the different PEG channels, right? It has links to them, I thought.
Can't say off the top of my head, to be
Well,
honest.
let's leave this on the agenda for next time,
Okay.
and I'll look at our current site and see if there are any features that were valuable from that other one. My guess is that the grid is going to be, nice as it was to have all of that information in one place. I suspect maintaining that is a higher burden than we are able to.
Well, even Comcast at the time, even Comcast would have the wrong information for UPTV sometimes. Some of the stations were not listed correctly on their guide. So there's something dark and strange that happens, and very layers beyond there that are beyond my technical expertise. But maybe if we could get someone to explain it to us, or if there was a low-cost or free way to have a grid that showed the channel guide, I think that would be a terrific idea.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Shortly after that website was launched, we had the downturn in the economy and budgets were cut. Also somewhere in there, it was responsibility for the commission transferred from Champaign-Urbana. And if I'm not mistaken, the commission doesn't really have much of a budget. And clearly what you're talking about is an investment where you need a web designer. You can't just launch a website and think that it's going to work for 5 years without being maintained. And that's what happened to this one.
Sure. I guess I was just thinking, given that we have the bookmarks, and if there was a goal of making some more publicity, we still have the things that cost money out of that, so we might as well use them. And I don't see any particular need to have 2 websites for the Cable Commission, but one on Urbana's, actually 3. There's still a page up on the Champaign site. But it does seem to me that if we had some content on that specially designed site that still has relevance that would make our existing pages better, we might as well put them up there. If it doesn't involve a significant amount of either development time or maintenance time. For example, just the links to if they're not on there, it makes sense to have links to the 4 PEG channels where you can see what's on there.
Yeah, even if we don't have a program grid, I think if you could go to that page and you could see all of the 4 channels, and it also had links that made it, if you wanted to see minutes of the Cable Commission, instead of searching through the city site, it had quick links to things like that. So anybody who happened to be looking for that, I assume that would not crash the server, but there might be a few people who are looking. It'd be a lot easier to find stuff like that.
Well, the current Urbana and Champaign websites make it fairly easy to see the recent meetings. each commission and the city councils have their own page, and each of those pages has links to the recent.
Right. The goal was to have cucabletv.com easy to remember instead of champaign.ci.il. And going through the links, to have one place with kind of the easy links and
Sure.
and everything else that might occur to you that you would want to know about cable TV in town. And ideally, we were going to, like every month, we'd have featured programs and promos, that kind of thing. But like Jeff said, that takes some money to have somebody be working on it all the time.
Well, it takes money or time or both, and those are in short supply. I think I called you Foster.
That's okay.
And I apologize. There's Chris Foster and Karen Walker,
That's
and then
very
there's
close.
Karen Foster on the Champaign Council, and that always those always cross paths in my mind and confuse me. Okay, well, Chris Foster, speaking of which, is not going to make it, so I think we're now on to the amendment of the Commission Rules and Regulations, and I'll suggest again that Dale take this one.
Okay, last time around we went through the document for a final set of revisions and made sure we'd handled everything. And when I went back through the video from that meeting, I found only about 3 or 4 things that we found that actually needed attention. One, of course, was the change in the name, which we're proposing to be the Champaign-Urbana Cable Television and Communications Technology Commission. Wow, I got that out. Another change that was made was to the Article 3 conduct of meetings, duties of members. I specified under all 3 officers whether or not they needed to be commission members or whether they could be appointed from outside the commission. Beyond that, there was a correction I found that needed to be made with 2 words that were run together, and I separated them. And I think that was all that was changed from the previous draft of the document that we had. I would highlight for the public that the new rules do propose a new, or do specify a new time and date for the meetings. In the future, we would be holding meetings on the 3rd Thursday of the quarter, of the first month of the quarter, and at 3:30 rather than 4 o'clock. And also that we're changing the agenda such that is it here? Public input comes earlier in the meeting than it does at present, so that members of the public could arrive and then present any information they wanted to the commission and then leave. It also just seemed to fit in a little better. And I think that's about all I've got to say about it.
Okay. So these proposed rules and regulations have been on public display for 10 days, I think.
Yes.
And they have been forwarded to each city's legal department for comment, and we have received, well, any comment that we received we dealt with and incorporated, and didn't on the last version receive any concerns or complaints.
Correct.
You mentioned the correspondence from Member Cinder about the use of telecommunications in the body of the rules and regs, even though we're changing the name. So I knew that going into it. The reason, so items, the city code has a list of things that we're supposed to do. And a few of them talk about telecommunications. I think maybe 5 of them talk about telecommunications. There's 19 total.
Actually, I think the city actually talks about 21, but we reorganized those such that the reports and budgets were in a separate section.
Okay. Those requirements also talk about other things, and to me, the point of the name was to include both the telecommunications aspects and the cable TV aspects and the other technologies aspects that those responsibilities have. If the cities choose to change their code as to what our job is, if they want to revisit those, they might change the wording of those to be broader, of those 5 to be broader than just talking about telecommunications. But even with them in there, telecommunications is definitely part of what we're supposed to be looking at, an important part of what we're supposed to be looking at. But other technologies, other communications technologies, are also in there. Okay, so I think our next step is, I'll ask are there any other comments on the revised rules and regulations? I'll open it up for staff, and do you count as staff?
Sure.
Okay. Somebody's staff. Hearing no requests for comment there, I'll ask if we have a proposal to enact these rules and regulations or adopt these rules and regulations for the.
I'll make a motion to or to move to adopt these changes and accept them as they are written.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, it carries unanimously. I would also ask for a motion to, for me to forward them to the city councils, because I think that's the next step there, with a letter, cover letter. Commissioner Cinder has written a draft that seems almost perfect, and I would mostly be following his lead on that.
Just a comment. Jake and I had discussed this, that because the name of the commission is actually set in city code, you'd be requesting code amendments for both cities to rename to match what you just voted for.
Okay, and I'll include
That's
that.
right. I think the wording of the cover letter, if I remember correctly, does recommend and request is in there.
It might also be prudent at this point to see if there are any other code changes that need to be made at the same time, rather than do it piecemeal.
Certainly. Do we know of any?
Well, I believe membership is specified, is it not, in one of the codes at least? Yeah.
Yeah, there's. I think staff should probably take a look at that code. As long as we're going to be asking for one thing, we might as well do a laundry list of things that need to be changed. I've got a short list of changes that, for instance, discussions about regulating basic rates. Well, at least in Champaign, that's no longer possible.
Right.
That was taken away by the FCC last year. There's a few of those other little things that we'll just do a little housekeeping on, and I suppose Urbana would do the same.
Okay.
Yeah, the third paragraph of the draft cover letter does mention the change in membership and notes that it's already been enacted by the city of Champaign. It would need to be done by the city of Urbana.
There's some other significant ones which had, I believe Commissioner Cinder brought to my attention, that had to do with the state statute in regards to customer service are referenced in codes that they will be enforced, rather than restating them, saying, you have Comcast will answer the phone in a certain amount of time. We just said we're going to require what the state requires, which we don't have a choice there. But they changed the numbering, so of course now we're referencing a statute that doesn't exist. So I'm not sure, I don't think Urbana ever made that change, but these are all things that we'll probably need to focus on as staff.
So do I understand that you'll go through that and give me a list, and I should include those in the cover letter, or should I only focus on this stuff for the cover letter?
I would suggest that Jeff and I get together, try to come up with a comprehensive list of code changes for both cities, present that to you, and then you incorporate that in the cover letter.
That's fine.
Okay, that works for me. So do I still think
I would move that staff collect those changes to code, forward them to the chair, and that the chair present them to the cities.
Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. That's been a lot. This has been a long process, but it's wrapping up. That's good. Next item on the agenda is audience participation. We don't have anyone in the audience, so I don't think they're going to participate. And then we have commissioners' comments. Would anyone like to make comments? Okay. I will comment that it is always nice to see our local media moving forward with HD in both U of I and Champaign's case, and the UPTV also has been moving forward. I know they're doing some cool stuff with sports and integration with the high school and middle school now, right? And maybe next fall we can see some of the highlights from that stuff. That'll be an exciting thing, I think. Okay.
I actually have something I just remembered for UI7. I have some interns that have been putting together a local music video show. And as most people know, Champaign-Urbana has a fantastic local music community. And as a part of that, there are a lot of music videos out there, or live session recordings of bands and stuff like that. So we've put out 2 20 to 25 to 30-minute episodes so far, and it looks like we have content for 3 more. But if anybody knows of any bands that have music videos, even if they're like old 90s grunge kind of things, they'd be a fun addition to the show. It's called CU Headphones. And I believe episode 2 is premiering tonight at 7, 10, and midnight.
And that's on what channel?
That is on UI7.
Thank you. I should also add that we run the WEF sessions on UPTV, which is live local music as recorded by our community radio station in Champaign. And that airs Saturdays at 9 p.m. and Thursdays at 11 p.m.
And hasn't Jacob been doing some video from folk?
The live bluegrass jam at
Right.
Lincoln Square. Yes, he's produced 8 half hours of that. The production schedule's on hiatus, so we're rerunning those, but those are at 9:30 on Thursday. Actually, Thursday night is music night when we don't have a meeting on Thursday. So thank you for reminding me.
So much great local content. Very cool. The next meeting of this commission will be Thursday. Do we have a
The
date?
3rd Thursday of July
The
at
third
3:30 p.m.
Thursday of July, which I think in a few moments we will have a date. The 17th of July, 3:30 p.m. in the Urbana City Council chambers. And with that, our business is concluded, and I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.